Hi, this is Tanya with Lorenza Brown Consultant, and welcome to our fashion training. I am very excited to have you with me today because two things. One, in which we are a couple weeks before December 31st. This 2014 is almost over. 2015 is about to start any day now. And if you're like me, which I think you are, you have dreams and goals that you put together on a year-to-year basis. I have my bucket list, which, by the way, I don't plan on dying anytime soon, but it's a list of things that I'd like to achieve, do, and learn on a yearly basis. And I get very introspective at the end of the year, and I look back on what I've accomplished and what I, set out to do. And as a result, I've achieved a lot of the goals that, I put out there for myself. And it's not necessarily all business related. A good portion of it is business related, but it's even personally related. I mean, I put out trips on my bucket list and or my to-do list. The places that I want to visit, the things that I want to do. Classes. Fun classes. In addition to trainings that I do just to keep in contact and with my colleagues and just learn the latest techniques for various things. So I'm excited to have this training at this time when I feel like a lot of people are looking at 2015 of what they want to do. And one of the things that are on a lot of people's list is to start a business. Now is the perfect time to start a business. The way the economy is and the way that employers are, there is no job stability anymore. The idea of working for a company for years and retiring with a pension doesn't exist. And the recession that happened in 2007, 2008 was a really good example of the fact that there is no job security. The only job security you have is basically if you're self-employed. If you're in control of your income and you're in control of your job security, then you're fine. A lot of companies or a lot of people, were let go as a result of the recession because they were just an employee, regardless of their talent, skills, regardless of what they brought to the table. They were at the mercy of a company that looked at them as, a person on a balance sheet. And you're so much more than that, and by your starting a business, this is basically an empowering situation. You can control what you bring to the table. A lot of us, when we get started in our own businesses, we don't mind working a gazillion hours a day because of the fact that it's our choice, and a lot of you will start your business while you're working a full-time job, which is, they call it a hustle, and I think it's a great idea, and it is a perfect way to put yourself in a position so that when you're ready to leave your full-time job, you have this to fall back on because it's a proven entity and you've already, shown it to be successful. So I'm sorry, I got diverted for a minute, in terms of, why you should start your own business. But the fashion training aspect, I'm going to teach you and talk to you about how you can start your own fashion business, without having any experience. Now, by that I mean is a lot of people will say, I want to start my own fashion business. I don't have any technical experience. Oh my God, I can't even sew. I don't know how to find fabrics. I need somebody to help me, guide me on what I need to do, where I need to go, and just what needs to be done. And that's great because that's what I'm here for. This is what I help my clients do, and I'm going to talk to you, later in the this video about a program that I'm putting together that can help you do just that. But back to the technical aspects. You don't need to know how to make a pattern to start make a garment. I'm sure that you've watched Project Runway. And you see these people who could drape, and they are draping on a mannequin, and they're cutting patterns, and that's not necessarily the reality of the situation. There could be people who know how to drape, they don't know how to make a pattern. They know people who can make a pattern but don't know how to drape. And then there are other people who can, like my grandmother, she could eyeball a garment and make it per spec on what she, on your measurements and based on that silhouette. She knew how to cut the fabric in a certain way and sew it, and she could do it in a short period of time. But again, that's not necessarily relevant to your getting your concept, out there in the market. There are so many ways in which you can take your idea out of your head and actually have it into, a solid form. Just a good example. In addition to my consulting business, I have a jewelry line. It's called Lauren St. Julian. And I design a line. The line of jewelry is using sterling silver with semi-precious stones, and I also do pearls. And I don't design. And when I say I don't design, I don't flat sketch. Like a lot of people will do these amazing flat sketches, and they call them croquis, and do these silhouettes and so forth. That's not the way I work. I mean, my sketches are very archaic. They're not of the quality that other people do. But it works for me because that's not my forte. My forte is actual designing in solid form. So I will have the concept in my head, and I will go into the studio and start working with the metals, working with the heat, working with the saw, working with all these machines. And I could have a day where I go in at like 9, and by 3 o'clock I have 3 different pieces that I've worked on, because my first concept gave birth to the next concept, which gave birth to the next concept. So by the end of the day, I've got the formation, I've got basically the start of a collection. But that's the way I work. Not everybody works that way. You know, some people will design and do 20 silhouettes. And from those 20 silhouettes, they will break it down into these 5 key pieces, because they can flat sketch, but then until they actually see the things in garment form, which a lot of us are like, you don't know how something's going to hang, drape, fit until you actually have the garment in front of you. So actually, flat sketching and, being able to draw is great, but until you have the tangible product in front of you, it's going to change, on a dime. It could totally change. Your favorite piece, that you drew, you could see it in person and you're just like, oh God, I didn't think that was going to look like that, or that's not going to work. Or you can, get the sample made and realize that there's a real functional flaw in the actual design that could make or break your product. So again, the process in which people work is very different, but the one of the things that I'll teach you is how you can find your places to get your garments made, and how you can take your initial concept, and you could even have a rudimentary drawing, and still get it made. You don't have to be a Picasso when it comes to sketches in order to convey your message to sample makers, factories, or technicians. You just need to have a concept of what it is that you are working with, a good, concise visual of what it is that you're working with, and be able to convey that to the people you're working with. And even then, it's like, there is no perfect format. A lot of people will work a lot of different ways. I mean, at the end of the day, depending upon your time, and that's one of the other things that I want to talk to you about, is your time and action calendar. I'm going to teach you how to put together a schedule, so that if, good example, I was just talking to someone the other day about 9 September fashion show that they need to make. And basically, we need to get running today, and I was saying to him, like, look, we need to start getting your boards together to do the swatches and the fabrics, so we can start sourcing your fabrics. It's one thing to find the concepts of what you want, fabric-wise, quality-wise, but we need to find the resources to get it at the price points that you need. Now, one of the things that a lot of people forget about is, when it comes to designing, designers will come up with an amazing concept. They will love, love, love this design, and then they'll love this fabric. And at the end of the day, when it's made, they're not going to love the price because they didn't take those things into consideration when they were designing it. They took in the aesthetic. That's one of the things that I teach you, and I put in the back of your head so you're constantly thinking about this. And it's part of the calendar that we work out is we reverse engineer your prices. So when you design a garment, before we even go into production, we've gotten that garment at the ideal price that you need to have it at so that you're not only getting maximum margin for your retail, but also for your wholesale. Because one of the things that I've learned, and I see this all the time, is designers have a tendency to not pay themselves and not have a sufficient margin in their cost structure that they're actually making money. I see this a lot with Etsy designers. They will focus on getting their product at the cheapest price point, but at the same time, they're not ensuring that they're paying themselves. So if they see, and I'm just giving an arbitrary number, if they see that their competition is at $50, they're going to go for 40. Or hey, they may squeeze it to 35 or 30. And then at the end of the day, maybe their cost structure was that, they were making $5 on each item. But then they're giving it for, the shipping is included. It's okay, you know what, you already got $2 or $3 in there for your shipping, depending upon your weight. I'm being generous. $2 or $3 for your shipping. So now you've got like $2 possible profit. Yeah, so that's one of the things. My focus is to ensure that you have a quality garment that you love and you adore and you're very proud of, that you get at the price point that is not challenging you. So that if you decide to do a sale or you decide to do a promotion, you have these in your little toolkit that you could say, oh, you know what, I can promo that, which at when you're looking at your calendar, you're probably going to say to yourself, you know what, for, the holiday season, I'm going to do a 30% off deal, or for, Valentine's Day, I'm going to do a buy one, get one or something. But, and, having it in your back pocket, so to speak, that you have these calculated into your costs so that when you see that, it's flying out the door, you're not stressing that you're losing money. You're actually excited because you're earning it, So that's one of the things that I focus on is, making sure that you get the best for your buck. Okay, we talked about time and action calendars. I'm going to teach you how to ensure that you have a structure set in place, because this is the structure that I create to ensure that your time and action calendar is a fail-safe. I'm a big fan of, padding your dates, but not over padding. There's a secret to doing it, because in one respect, you want to make sure that you are covered, and you want to make sure that you have enough time to do everything sufficiently. But at the same time, you want to, pad it where you can, but you don't want to over pad it, because at the end of the day, it's like, okay, if you over pad it, it has no meaning. If you're constantly saying to yourself, I know I have time, I have time, you're never going to do anything on a timely basis because you're so focused on the fact that you think you have time. So you're going to overshoot your dates, and then you're not going to have time, So that's the other thing that happens there. Finding factories. I have, a lot of clients, they specifically want domestic factories, and that's totally fine, and there's ways to find them. There's ways to ask the question and know what questions to ask, because at the end of the day, the factory is looking to make the products at the best possible price for them. They're not focused on your prices. They're focused on theirs. But if you walk in the door and you give them your guidelines and your targets, and you tell them, if you're very specific in what you need, they are going to be very specific in trying to meet your needs so they get your order. And the other thing is a lot of people, get very stressed out when they think of factories, because they're like, oh, I'm not a Macy's. Oh, I don't have, thousands and thousands of, garments. I may be doing like 50. or you know what, I may not even do doing 50. I may just do 25 style, and I've got like 5 styles, So there are secrets on how you can get those into any factory. You know, a number like that is not a no-go when it comes to factories, because at the end of the day, factories, like everybody else, they have their high times and they have their low times, and they have opportunities. At the end of the day, you just need to meet your need needs to meet their opportunity. We're going to talk about minimums when it comes to fabrics and trims, how to meet minimums and how to avoid them when possible, and also when a bargain isn't a bargain when it comes to fabric and trims, because it's great. I'm a big fan of finding low cost product, quality product at the best price. But there's a glitch sometimes when you get a price that's too good. There's things to look out for. And that's one of the things I'm going to talk to you about in my course on, the negatives and things to like. It's almost like my course is basically a roadmap of what you need to do and what you need to avoid in order to get to the end game. So also, we talked about fabric and trims. We talked about factory. We talked about samples. Well, let's talk about samples rather. Getting your samples made at the best prices. Now, there are a lot of sample makers out there, but they're not all right for you. Not everybody does the best product. Like, you need to know where to go. You wouldn't, have a shoemaker make your dresses, and you wouldn't have your, a tailor make your children's clothes. But there are exceptions where certain categories, qualifications can cross over and can be, appropriate for making your product. But at the same time, you need to ensure that you know the quality that they do. Same thing with factories. One of the things, one of the clients that I had who was looking at overseas factories as an option, and they were so afraid because, they're overseas, and domestically, they didn't feel like they would be able to go over there and check them out. And I explained to them how you actually can check out a factory when it's not in your immediate vicinity. And this client, exactly, I had said to them, like, first of all, you are in Minnesota, like you live in a beautiful area, and there are really no wholesalers, manufacturing places around you. So even if it was a domestic factory that we found, as opposed to the overseas one that you want to do because of the price point, you chances are you wouldn't be able to pop into the domestic one anyway, and the communication and the follow-up would be just the same amount with an overseas factory. So, but at the end of the day, it's what's important to you. Certain clients are very eco-conscious, and don't get me wrong, when you say eco-conscious, you can't negate overseas factories because they are eco-conscious, you know. It's just a matter of whether you choose to do something domestically or overseas. And that's a personal choice, and not something that I can dictate to you. It's also affected by your price. If you're looking at doing high couture, well, I hate the word couture, but high level bridge garments or gowns, you probably wouldn't make them in China. You can make them in Europe, but you would like to have somebody domestically that you physically could go to, you know, especially for the turnaround time, even though, Asia can get it to you in 3 days max, so it's the course that I'm going to talk to you about is we basically break out what is important to you, and in addition to mapping out the schedule of how you get your products done and the steps in which you do to get them done, we talk to you about your ideal customer and how to find your ideal customer. One of the things that I've noticed, and this is across the board with all the clients that I've had, regardless of the product that they're making, there's never clarity in terms of who they're selling it to. A lot of clients have I refer to it as spray and pray. It's you're creating a product which you love. You have a clear vision, but you don't know who your customer is. You don't know who's buying this. And knowing who's buying it makes a huge difference in your design process. You know, I always, when I design, I think of where she's going with this. I mean, I'll use Sex in the City as an example because it's the most character-driven show because you know who each character is, and she has a definitive personality and persona. You don't confuse one with the other. And that's basically, my designs. When I'm making it, I think, where's she going? She's going, she would never go to brunch with those earrings because she would wear these type of earrings, and she's going to wear that type of sweater and those type. Like, I literally accessorize her from head to toe because it helps me think of, no, that design works or that design doesn't work. Oh God, she's going to totally wear that design to, a cocktail party because, the holidays are coming up and she's a big bling girl. Same. And back to the Sex in the City, it's like you look at the characters and you're like, oh, Miranda would never wear that, or that's such a Samantha outfit, or Charlotte is, oh, that's so prim and proper. Charlotte would definitely wear that. So you have to look at your designs and think to yourself, where would they wear this, and is this my customer, and where are they going? And to help you, we have a few exercises to help you get into who your customer is, but one of the things that kind of get you started right now is, your customer, where do they shop? Think about where they shop. It doesn't have to be, it may not be the Macy's, the Bloomingdale's. It could be some obscure, little Soho boutiques that only you know of that, caught your attention and you're like, that's definitely where my customer shops. Then build on that. What else does she do? Maybe she shops in those obscure boutiques, but then maybe she goes to that high-end Italian furniture place. Or maybe she shops at ABC Carpets as well because she likes that kind of aesthetic. So build on that and create the story of who she is. Because when you're designing, it's going to be very clear cut for you to say, yeah, that's not her. Yes, that's her. Or him, or the baby, or whatever. The whole knowing your ideal customer helps you in so many various ways. And then when you're selling your product, that's actually another step. When you're selling your product, you can have a very clear cut, concise, conversation with your buyers about who they are. Because if you can, they're going to see the garments, love it or hate it, or be indifferent. But then when you're having the conversation with them and you're doing trade shows and you're saying, okay, you know what, this is for blah blah blah. She shops here, yada yada yada. And as you're saying this, the information is going through their head and they're thinking, yeah, I could see that hanging on the floor next to such and such, or that can be on the counter next to such and such brand. You're basically giving them information and helping them. You're helping make the sale, basically. Because at the end of the day, they may not have the vision, that you like them to have. But then as you're putting it together, they're getting the vision. And it's like, yeah, exactly. I'll take how many of those? So you're creating your ideal customer. Call it the ideal customer avatar. But putting that together makes a big difference, and it's something that you're going to continually evolve over time because there's so many companies that started out one way, and then it's like, okay, well, you know what, our girl is now grown up and she's now getting married and having kids, so we're going to add a maternity line. So a lot of brands do have this vision in their head of who that girl is and how she evolves. I mean, look at J. Crew. J. Crew went from just a small, company to evolve into a fashion powerhouse. And they, created crew cuts like a couple years ago. And then when they dressed the Obama kids, for the inauguration, that just blew out. I remember going to a J. Crew sample sale. love sample sales. And there was a line around the block of mothers hoping to get into that sample sale to get some of the products that kids products that were similar to what the Obama kids wore. So and even they came out with a wedding collection for, there was a lot of J. Crew brides or J. Crew girls who were getting married, and they wanted that same aesthetic. So the bride stuff collection came out. And matter of fact, they have another collection, which I forgot what the name of it is, but Madewell. Yeah, that's it, Madewell. They have the Madewell collection for another offshoot of the J. Crew person. So again, knowing who your ideal customer is just so essential to everything. You know, you I honestly can't say enough about it. So I do want to just tell you a little bit more about the course. It's going to start in February, and it is your do-it-yourself guide on how to get started in the fashion industry. It's a 5-week course. Each week we give you videos and worksheets on things that you need to do to get started. But don't get me wrong, this course is more of a do than a written essay. This is something, the videos that you get are steps to put you in motion. What you should be doing now, what you should be doing this week, what is on your to-do list of actions that you need to do, and what it all relates to your collection, fabric, trims, and so forth. I map it out for you. And every week we have a conference call. Sorry, losing my voice. We have a conference call where you get to speak to me and ask me questions. We go over the week's lesson, and depending upon your product, you just fire away with what your specific question is in regards to your product. We also have a private Facebook group that I will be in daily, so that you have access to me and you can ask me questions in regards to the information that we've given you that week, the course outline, the projects that you're working on. It's a great way to just access me, pick my brain. Like I said, I am a big fan of questions, and I think, the best thing that anybody can do is ask somebody who knows more than them, and just avoid the pitfalls that they may have gone through or mistakes, just by asking some of the questions. So, and the course is going to go live in January, but right now we have it at a pre-sales price of $797, and in January it's going to be $997. So again, it's a 5-week course, and at the end of the course, here's the thing, like, you can expect to have your product made in 5 weeks. And when I say product made, I mean finding your fabrics, finding your trims, finding factories, and actually having garments. Now, what I want to do is I want to hear from you in terms of the type of products that you're doing, and again, this is part of the format of the phone calls, the conference calls, and the Facebook forum, because you get to learn not what other people are doing, but what questions they have. And that question may not necessarily be relevant in terms of the specific aspect of the question. The specific aspect of the question may not refer to you in terms of your product, but the question may apply to you, whether it's a time and action question, whether it's questions to ask the factory, whether questions on how to find a factory. You have someone helping you with the specs of the garment, questions you should ask them, how to get your costs down. That's something else that we're going to talk about. Costing is a major issue. And I am offering one of the bonuses of this course is for the first 5 people who sign up. I am offering you a one-on-one 45-minute Skype consultation with me to work out your costs. Now, bear in mind, you're going to say to yourself, okay, you know what? I am just working on this program. I don't know what I'm doing yet. That's fine. You have this in your back pocket. So once we do get started, and you are, you get clear in terms of your vision and the silhouettes, I'm here. So you have this Skype consultation in your back pocket. We will get together and we will work on your target costs. And because again, I love doing that, and my goal is I love making sure people are covered cost wise. I really do. I mean, it just gives me a kick to know that, okay, you know what, you did it at wholesale, and if you end up at a trade show, which if that's your end vision, that you want to do trade shows, wholesale and retail, I'm going to set you up for that. That's not a problem. And this course is perfect for that. And it's perfect if you want to do it just direct to retailers. But knowing that in your back pocket, if you say, you know what, I want to, sell it direct to resellers, have my own shop, but at some point I would like to wholesale it, we're going to set you up out of the gate to know that you have that cushion in your cost structure, so that when you say, okay, I want to, do a trade show, and you get to a trade show and the guy's like, oh, and this is something that they're going to always say, I would like to buy X. I know your price is this. What would your price be if I buy this amount? Guarantee you, always ask. They always do. It doesn't matter if you said it's like $10. You're like, oh, I'm going to buy this amount. What's the best price you can give me? As if the price you gave before wasn't the best. But when you take this course, you will have that information, and you will have the padding in there. You can say, you know what, if you buy X, I'll give you this. So that's one of the things that you can get. But again, the first 5 callers, first 5 people who sign up will get this price. So I am glad that you were able to watch this video today, and it's going to be up for the time period in which this price is valid is until December 31st. So I urge you to take advantage of that price point, so you could spend more money on your Christmas presents to you. Now, like I said, 2014 is right around the corner, and if you're like me, this has probably been on your wish list, your to-do list. You just didn't have a chance to get it done, and you just didn't know where to go. It's Kismet. This is where I'm here for. I am here to help you get this not only off your to-do list, but to make this something that is a pivotal point of your 2015. So by 2015, next year, this time, you're going to be looking at those garments, those beautiful hand tags. You're going to look at your orders that you're shipping, and you're probably going to, scream at me because, I created a monster of somebody who realized how easy it was to create their own fashions and their own designs, and not only that, how to, produce it and sell it and ship it and rinse and repeat the whole cycle. So yeah, again, you're just going to be thrilled that you have this information. And again, the course is, I don't think I did mention this, the course has lifetime access. So, and it is going to, it has lifetime access, so regardless of, as long as I'm alive and as long as the course is active, you will always have access to it. And as time goes on, it's going to be updated and changed, but the price that you're paying is for unlimited access, regardless of how many updates or changes are made, per season. Because we will be rolling this out, at least once a year. So that's it. So I am thrilled that I got a chance to have this time with you, and thank you so much for taking the time to watch it, and I hope to get to see you, in the program. And again, have a wonderful holiday and a happy new year. Take care.